Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. Today is a super exciting video because it's a collab with the channel Sara here on YouTube. It's like 2 front slashes and then her name. Well, anyways, I'll link it down below. But we both decided to do hand studies, and it's something that I think every artist should do, is practice types of anatomy, even if it's not really your style. They're just so complex and it is very challenging, as you will see in this video. I do 2 attempts at it because I just was not happy with the first try. So this is the reference I'm using, and I sketched it out onto a panel. It's a little bit smooth. I mean, I showed you the texture, but I don't know. I wanted to try it out and it was pretty affordable, so that was cool. And I am just using my oil paints. As you can see, I tried thinning them down with a little bit of Gamsol in the beginning, but it was just too translucent. And I think because this is such a smooth panel, there's no grip on it, the colors will come off a little bit more translucent than they normally would. So I was just doing this by eye, looking at the reference and seeing what undertones I could see. So there were some purples in the deep shadows, there were some orangey reds in the midtones, and then in the bright colors there were some like lavenders, some blues. It was a really challenging one. I don't normally paint hands. I think I've painted like 2 hands in my life before this, or actually maybe not even, maybe just 1. It's a really challenging thing to do because, like I said, there are just so many colors that come within it. So I wanted to show you my palette as I did this so you could see how interesting the colors are, but how in the end they end up looking like this. I picked the model to have really dark skin because I've never painted hands with really dark skin, and I just thought it looked so beautiful with all the different colors and lighting. So I wanted to show you the palette. As you can see, I'm putting some straight up purples on this painting and some straight up reds. There was not too much grays mixing into here. There were at times, but I was kind of surprised how even the darkest parts had kind of these different colors within them. And I think the challenging part of all of this was that hands have so many more textures and rises and slopes than like faces do or bodies do. At first it doesn't seem like it, but when you look at them up close, they have, every single knuckle has like a rise and a bump on every side, and there's just so many different shapes. There's cylinders and squares, and I don't know, it's just a really challenging subject, so I definitely recommend it. But I also really liked how on this model's hands the creases were really dark, and so I wanted to try some of this kind of like California style impressionism work where I would paint down the dark lines of the hands and then clean them up with light colors. I've done it with trees before, I think, and I think they look really cool. So it came off a little strange here. As we go through, you can see that I end up going back in my second attempt and kind of moving things around. I think looking up close at the lines, it was very interesting, but the problem is that sometimes you have to sacrifice certain parts of a painting to account for the needs of the composition as a whole. And as a whole, the style I was using, the kind of like patchy style, wasn't really working out. I do like doing color studies a lot. My next video, either next week or the week after, will be a couple of color studies and a vlog that I kind of, all my different art ventures of the past few weeks. But yeah, this one I wanted to kind of take more time on, take more seriously. I still don't think it took too long. I think I started it at like noon one day and I finished it around 2 or 3. And then I went back another day and added more to it. So I don't know. So as you could see in the original reference photo, there's kind of like this background, this kind of like orangish yellow background. I'm not sure if it's skin or if it's like cloth or something like that. But I really liked the ochre color in the picture. And then there's this white cloth beneath the hands, but because of the shadows of the hands, it's actually blue. I'm not sure if it's because I wasn't able to get all of the lighting nuances on the hands, but I think the ochre background just kind of took away from the subject, which was the hands. So the next day or a few days later, I went back and I decided to kind of revamp it more in my style. I was trying too many new things at once, and I just needed to go back and smooth out the parts that I knew I could, and especially work on the fingertips. I think that there's a difference between being loose and being careless, and I think I was definitely too careless when I first started painting. You don't want to sacrifice the impression that a painting gives you just because you're trying to stay loose. So to explain that a little further, in the fingertips, I really stuck to very few colors, and I just kept very blocky general shapes, and it didn't really work out. So this time around, I went through and I made sure to add the little lighting nuances which reflect on either side of the fingers, and already I was way happier with it, even if it was, it took an extra layer. And I don't know, it was a little uncomfortable working on this palette. I don't think I'm going to be using these anymore. I like clayboard and gesso board a lot. But yeah, these are ampersand panels, by the way. And this is the artist's panel or something like that. But in the end, I ended up really liking how it looked. As you can see, I added a few extra strokes for good luck and to kind of break up the realism that was in there a little bit. But I like it, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and yeah, I'll see you next week. Be sure to check out Sarah's channel too. It's linked below.